The Blue Jays are feeling good, feeling comfortable right now, but is there still some cause for concern? Let's talk about it as we start the day off chatting about the Blue Jays. I mean, how do you not feel good with the entrance music that plays on that? The Toronto Blue Jays are coming off of a few wins in a row now. I believe it's 5 wins in a row after a victory over the Tampa Bay Rays last night. And look, it's going well for Toronto at this point. I have really enjoyed watching Blue Jays baseball right now. Toronto's won 6 in a row. Sorry, I think I said 5. It's 6 in a row now for the Blue Jays as they send Kevin Gausman out to the hill today against the Tampa Bay Rays. That one is, by the way, a 5 o'clock start for those of us here in the Mountain Time Zone. It is Kevin Gausman going up against a fellow named Seymour for the Tampa Bay Rays. But so while I'm feeling good, Deeds maybe still a little bit on the trepidatious side of things as Deeds messages or chats in on Twitch. If the Blue Jays drop the next 2 versus the Rays, how do you feel it affects them staying on top of the division with the Yankees about to head into a series with the Orioles? As I'm sure we're all expecting the Yankees to win and possibly sweep that series. And that is fair. The Yankees are still a good team. They showed last night, right? Like, when it gets rolling well for them, despite what Buck Martinez may say, the Blue Jay or the Yankee story are still, that's a good baseball team that they have over there. So this isn't going to just be a cakewalk for the last couple of weeks, but it's what we talked about before. There's now 11 games left in the season for the Blue Jays. If they go 5-6, the Yankees have to go perfect, basically, the rest of the way. The Yankees have to go 10-1 to catch the Blue Jays for first place in the American League East. Like, I was watching the game last night when Lucas hits the home run, and I was like, they're going to do this. That's where I'm at now. Like, throughout this whole time, and I've tried, I know I have at points leaned on the negative, but it has more been leaning on the frustration than the, this team sucks, they're not going to do anything. But I have always been kind of talking about, like, this is awesome, this is fun, and there's a lot of reasons why it's going well for this team, but there's always been something in the back of my head, remembering a few different times where this team in September, they'd be, hey, they're within striking distance of the Yankees going into a series with the Yankees, and then they lose 2 out of 3, and the season's basically over. And you would have a great May, June, or July, and hey, team's in it. I remember in 06, vividly remember in 06, pardon the interruption, doing a segment on the Blue Jays when Troy Gloss is hitting home runs all over the place, and they're just playing very good baseball, and PTI saying, look, the Blue Jays are the favorites to win the American League East right now. There have always been times where the Blue Jays have looked like, hey, look at this. The plucky team from Canada is about to find their way into championship form, and away they go. And then it's always kind of fallen off. And so I have admittedly kind of been ready for all right, this has been fun. They're a playoff team, but maybe not winning the division. But now with 11 games left, it kind of hit me last night that I was like, odds are they're going to do this. This is a thing that's going to happen now. This is a division leading team with less than 2 weeks to go in baseball's regular season. It is wild to me that the Blue Jays have got to this point. And so again, if the Blue Jays drop the next 2 and the Yankees go on a run, it gets tight. For sure it does. But just again, keep that in mind. If the Blue Jays play 500 baseball the rest of the way, even a touch below 500 baseball the rest of the way, the Yankees basically have to be perfect. And we can compliment New York all we want. That is far from a perfect baseball team. I think that is abundantly clear. And then going into a series with the Orioles, admittedly, I don't know if they've played them in a while, but the Yankees are 3-3 against Baltimore this season. And before the Blue Jays went in and dog-walked those guys for 3 games, the Orioles were on a bit of a tear and playing some pretty good baseball. So I wouldn't just pencil in 3 straight wins for the Yankees against Baltimore coming up. They're probably going to win that series. And there is a world where they sweep that. Absolutely, right? But Toronto is still at a point. They have their best pitcher going today. against the Rays with a chance to keep this going and just put a nice little bow on this series. So I feel very good about where Toronto is at this particular time, because the last couple of nights have basically been perfect, right? We didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday. Yesavage was fantastic, and so many different things that you love. Obviously, 9 strikeouts in 5 innings. Mwah, chef's kiss. The near immaculate inning that should have been an immaculate inning, but an umpire sucked and took a very clear strike away from the kid while he was rolling. And the swing and miss was exceptional, and just the filth that is on some of those breaking pitches in the splitter down in the zone, getting a lot of swing and miss from, while they're not going to be a playoff team, still a very good hitting Tampa Bay Rays team that was perfect, all of it. But the thing that I liked the most is that it obviously wasn't starting great, right? Like, I think there were 3 batters in and a run had already scored for Tampa Bay. And that was it, because he came in and shut the door from there. And he had said, and they brought it up on the broadcast, and we all kind of knew, his first start at each level was a bit wobbly, basically, right? And especially at AAA Buffalo, where you saw that, and I was like, okay, this is my hope that maybe this kid's going to be the 7th inning guy in a playoff game. I might need to change that a little bit. And then he adjusts after that. And instead of 1 start and we have to adjust, this was 1 inning and he had to adjust. The fact that he went out there, got hit, recovered, and was damn near unhittable after that was fantastic. It shows a next level mental makeup. Obviously, the physical tools are there. Everything you wanted to see from Yesavage in that game, checked every single box. I still don't think I would go so far as to start him in a playoff game, but I do think that it is I think there is no way you can deny that this would be one of the best pitchers on the team to go out into a playoff game. And so I don't think I'm at the point where I am starting him, even though Barrios, man, it goes well until it's not, right? Like, everything is going fine, and then boom, 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 fan reaches over, and all of a sudden it's 4-3. I still think I would rather go with Barrios or Bassett in a playoff game than have Yesavage's 3rd career start be Game 4 of the American League Division Series against the Yankees or something like that, right? Like, one of the things I said, even with Lauer, and I kind of forgot that Lauer had a bit more experience than this, but with Yesavage, even if you want to bring him in as the follow to an opener, I still would rather him just be able to get in your mind frame, get in your zone, but not have to deal with the extra stuff that comes with playoff reporters for a starting pitcher in a playoff game, right? With all that extra attention, with all the extra media, let Bassett handle that, go out and do a couple of innings, and then Yesavage is just dip, dive, dip, and dodge with all of his pitches and going out there, but just tell him when he's going to go out, but let Bassett deal with all the other stuff that comes with being a starting pitcher in a postseason game. Maybe I'm babying a little bit too much, but I still think, given where the Blue Jays are at right now, I still think Yesavage's most valuable spot for this team is coming out of the bullpen. So I still would have it as Gausman, Bieber, Scherzer, and maybe flip those 2. But Gausman's your Game 1 starter. Gausman, Bieber, Scherzer, and then I still think I go Barrios in a Game 4 start, and I would move Yesavage into a bullpen role. It can be a leverage bullpen role, like bring him in the 7th inning. But again, make sure that it is now they've pitched him out of the bullpen, and I think over the next couple of weeks here, if the Blue Jays could bring him out of the bullpen in the middle of an inning so he gets used to dealing with that sort of a thing, that would be good. But if he could be the 7th inning guy to get to Dominguez, to get to Hoffman, that would be great. And if Varland can kind of figure things out, and it looks like he kind of has, then all of a sudden you're feeling very good about where that bullpen's at, with Fisher back there, Lauer as your lefty. Little, I don't think it's it. I would rather Yesavage than Little, and I get there's a handedness difference there, but I I think that is probably the way to go with Trey Yesavage for the Blue Jays. But it wasn't just Yesavage that has been going in over the last little while. It's been everything. And I know I just kind of bagged on Little there for a second. And last night, there is a bit of a speed wobble at the end, but the bullpen is starting to come around a little bit more, right? They had that game against Tampa Bay, the Yesavage start. He came out and was excellent. I think he did a very good job after Yesavage, the bullpen was excellent. They did a good job of coming in and shutting the door in that game. And then against the Rays, there is a little bit less leverage, but Rodriguez looked really good. I feel like Little has been kind of riding that lightning bolt for a while, and now it's starting to fall off a bit. Like he has been kind of fighting it for a little bit, location-wise, and just having to grind through a lot of difficult outings. He's been able to get out of it, but he has kind of been dealing with a little bit of that for a bit. But Fisher was nails the other night, and Dominguez, you know that there can be some inconsistency there, but when he's on, it's great. And Hoffman seems like he's kind of found his secret touch again in the back part of that bullpen. So it feels like the bullpen is starting to come around at a really good time for the Blue Jays. And then defensively, the guys who you needed to step up. You saw Straw make a nice sliding catch out in center field last night. 2 nights ago, Giménez, there's concerns about what he could be as a shortstop. He makes a diving play at short and gets the out. Barger does feel like the weak link defensively on the infield, makes a diving play to help keep the game close, allowing the Blue Jays to go out and pick up a victory. And then it's the key hits eventually when they needed them in extra innings, with Springer coming up with a hit after catcher's interference. And again, like just go on down the line. Kirk coming up with hits, Lucas coming up with hits. All these guys continue to come up with key moment after key moment at key time after key time. And it just is all coming together as a complete baseball team right now. And that is with the potential of Bichette and Santander coming back. And we have discussed before, what do you do with Santander when he returns to the lineup? And I think that question gets brought up a little bit more when there's the potential that Bo Bichette could come back, but maybe not so much in a defensive role because of the nature of the knee injury. Maybe he's only a hitter instead of a fielder. And now, does that mean you have both Springer and Santander in the outfield? I still think now, and especially if that's going to be the only way they can use Bo in the postseason is as a designated hitter, I think Santander is probably locked in now as a bench bat moving forward. And honestly, like thinking about it defensively, if you have Bo as your DH, Barger stays in at third base with Giménez helping him out with that elite level range that he has. Clement, solid at second base, a magnet there last night. It felt like every time I looked up when the Jays were on defense, it was Ernie Clement having to make a play at second. But that gives you a good infield, and it helps, while Barger made a nice play the other day, helps kind of insulate him a little bit. And then in the outfield, I don't love the idea of Straw having an everyday bat with the Blue Jays, but I do think that if you have Straw and Varsho in the outfield, it's kind of what I talked about before when I wanted the Jays to trade for Luis Robert. Not that Straw is that level of a hitter by any stretch of the imagination, but between Straw and Varsho in the outfield, it allows you to protect Springer a little bit more out in right. And then you have Santander as a bench bat. You have Lucas as a bench bat. You have Schneider as a bench bat. You have some options that you can go to off of the bench. So that might be the way that you're able to kind of piece it all together and make all the pieces fit for the Toronto Blue Jays. A couple more here from the chat from Deeds. Deeds saying, leave it to me to throw a wrench in PK's program schedule. And as a correction, it's a 4-game set with the Orioles. It's not I doubt the Jays, but the Yankees face the Orioles, then the White Sox. It's the ease of the Yankee schedule that worries me. The Jays face the Royals and the Red Sox. And that is fair. That's lopsided. 100% it is. I still think the Orioles have enough FU in them that they're not going to make it a cakewalk for the Yankees. The Yankees might outscore the White Sox by 30 in that series. Like they will probably beat them up. But again, Toronto has stepped up against good teams all season long. So the Royals gave them a bit of an issue at a time where the Blue Jays kind of felt like they were maybe starting to fall off a touch. And so it is fair to have, again, a touch of a concern with that ball club. And then the Red Sox are a strong baseball team, and they are going to be a playoff team. But again, the Blue Jays have done a really good job of playing against high-level teams all season long. Looking at the schedule, looking at the standings, the Jays are 7-3 against Boston this season, 1-2 against Kansas City. So again, if you can take one from the Red Sox, that makes it a bit close because it's them and they're gaining a game on you. In a stretch of 6 games, take one from the Red Sox, take 2 from the Royals, you've gone 3-3. If the Yankees have 4 against the Orioles and 3 against the White Sox, if the Jays go 3-3, it is mathematically impossible for the Yankees to catch them in that stretch. Even if they sweep all 7 games, that still puts them as what? That's gaining 3.5, 4 games on the Blue Jays. They have a 5-game lead. It makes the last couple of weeks a bit more tense, absolutely. But Toronto has built up enough of a cushion. It's 5 games right now that the Blue Jays have this lead. So yes, this last part of the schedule, it does not favor Toronto. No doubt. But the Blue Jays have done a good job of building up enough of a cushion that they can survive a little bit of that. And honestly, I would rather that than the Blue Jays be able to coast here. It would be nice to be able to have the last series of the year have the starting pitchers be Lauer, Manoah, and whoever out of like any relief pitcher who's not going to make the big league or the playoff roster, and just cycle through those guys while you then get ready to have a weekend off going into the American League Division Series. That would be great. But I do think it is nice that there is going to be some adversity still as the season winds down to keep this team sharp. And they still have to stay sharp. Again, they haven't clinched anything. The playoffs are well within reach, and they're going to be a playoff team. But division-wise, first place in the American League, they haven't clinched anything. So maybe I am getting a little ahead of myself now, but it is nice that it's not just going to be a complete runaway, and this team is going to have to flip that switch again in a month to get ready for playoff baseball. So I can see where we're concerned, Deeds, and you didn't throw a wrench in anything. This was a fun conversation. But I don't think that the Blue Jays are a team that we need to worry about in this way anymore. They've established, whether it's against, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, but that was a good win at the end of the Dodgers series. But they've established against the Red Sox, against the Yankees, against the Tigers, against the Cubs, against the Rangers, against the Mariners, against the Astros, basically everyone but the Brewers. The Blue Jays have established that they are a very, very good baseball team, and other very, very good baseball teams don't throw them off anymore. This isn't a team that got fat and happy beating up on the lesser thans of Major League Baseball. This was a team that was able to go out and beat good teams and get this record. The Blue Jays are 43-35 in games against teams above 500. There is not another team in baseball that has more than 40 wins against teams over 500 right now. So when you stack them up, it looks like there is a chance for the Yankees to make a comeback. And there is, but I just don't think the Blue Jays are a team that will make that easy on them. So, feeling pretty good going into a matchup tonight with the Blue Jays ace on the hill in Kevin Gausman.